Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Chris Fabry. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. First, you've joined this presentation using your computer speakers for your audio, and that was by default. If you would prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You'll have the opportunity to submit text questions by typing them into the questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end. The webinar is being recorded, and you'll receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view that recording. All right, hello everyone. As mentioned, my name is Chris Fabry, Director of Solutions Architects and Customer Advocacy at Synergis. I've been in this business for quite a while and with Synergis for about 16 years. We're really excited to share with you guys the value Adept provides and to answer any questions that you have. Before we jump into the live demonstration, I'd like to share a brief overview about one of our most successful process industry customers, Shu Fedorov. Since 2006, they've achieved great success rolling out Adept across 4 different continents. We'll take a look at some of the key problems that led Shu to PDM in the first place and discuss some of the successes they've achieved up to that date. So one of the key items that Synergis provides is the ability to free you from chaos and from inertia, so you can make the difference in the world that you want to make. So we've been developing and implementing and supporting engineering, information management, document management, and product data management solutions for over 26 years. And our flagship product, Adept, has been helping companies find, manage, share, control engineering and business content throughout the product lifecycle or your plant or facility. It's an enterprise solution that's really easy to implement, use, and maintain, and it offers a lot of unmatched value. More than 70,000 worldwide users benefit from Adept across a variety of industries and different sectors. Our customers range from discrete or industrial manufacturing to mining and metals, energy, process plants and engineering, construction, and architectural services. The simplicity of Adept is key. Dr. Joel Orr of Scion Research called it simple power, and we think that says it all. Now, one of our largest sectors is manufacturing, where customers are managing their product data and plant floor layouts. Customers that have been using Adept for more than a decade here include Georgia-Pacific, General Mills, Crayola, Carpenter, and Shu Fedorov, just to name a couple of those. Now, before we launch into that live demonstration, I'd like to share a brief overview of one of our more successful customers in this industry, and that's Shu Fedorov. Since 2006, they've achieved great success rolling out Adept across 4 different continents. And we'll take a look at some of the key problems that led them to a PDM solution and discuss some of the different successes they've achieved to date. Shu Fedorov is the world's leading manufacturer of custom-made valves serving many different industries. Customers of theirs depend on them for diverse industries such as chemical, fiber, pharmaceutical, and other process industries. Shu's headquarters are in Frankfurt, Germany, with additional offices in Germany, United States, Ireland, England, Brazil, and India. And they directly employ 250 people worldwide, and then they have annual sales just under $100 million. Shu's business challenges as global manufacturer are similar to many multinational companies. They're continually under pressure to get their custom valve designs to market faster while maintaining highest quality assurance and service. They need to ensure resource leveling across global design centers to maximize efficiency and productivity. They also need to centralize all designs under one umbrella to enable design reuse. A single integrated data management system for all global sites. They need a PDM solution that provides the tightest integration with SOLIDWORKS and AutoCAD for revision control, design reuse, collaboration, compliance, and workflow automation. SHUF is also extremely focused on achieving their revenue and profitability goals. They need to control product costs, improve design process, and eliminate both resource and material waste throughout all global sites. So in short, their goal was to create a single centralized repository of data that allows fast access and the ability to share licenses across continents and different time zones. So why did they choose Synergis Adept? First, the product met their technical requirements, including Adept's very strong SOLIDWORKS integration, its ability to support central database managing data across global operations, the built-in viewer with markup and compare capabilities was huge, a flexible license model that would handle concurrent licensing. All of these made Adept an excellent fit for SHUF. But more important to them, given the inherent complexities of all enterprise data, was their partnership with Synergis software through the implementation and supporting afterwards. They felt that Synergis software, as both the developer and the team responsible for implementing and ongoing support, was the best choice. They liked Synergis' smaller, more focused development organization and believed there are clear benefits to working directly with the developer. Plus, they wanted the benefit of a centralized support organization for all of their sites. Adept was also proven at their existing U.S. location, Fedorov, and Synergis has proven experience migrating other vendors' PDM data into Adept as well. As a result, they had huge confidence in the success of the implementation and concluded that Adept would provide them the lowest total cost of ownership and best return on their investment. After close to 5 years of using Adept, SHUF has realized a lot of benefits from PDM. Getting control of engineering data also makes it faster and easier to retrieve information when needed. That centralized access to product data is allowing engineers to collaborate with other departments as well as other locations. And as SHUF used Adept PDM to organize and manage their engineering data, it opened up opportunities to streamline product-related processes, such as automated product approval process. We're going to see a little bit of that later on. It also allowed them to recognize the value of that central data. They used Adept to manage more of their engineering data, such as specifications and documentation and quality information. Now they use Adept in every department: sales, pre-sales, shipping, and invoicing. The PDM solution also helped them realize their business objectives, including reduced product to development time. Now, the value of Adept for SHUF is largely their ability to achieve these goals. Unite Germany, Ireland, and United States into one central Adept database, and now including India. Deploy Adept to India and Brazil. There are currently 130 active users. All sites are now represented. Deep usage within design departments. They store all design-related documentation and calculations inside of Adept. And another big part of that value was getting all the departments within the company using Adept as part of their daily activities. Generate 25% time savings at each new site and department that uses Adept. Actually was overshot, but that was one of their main goals. Now, before I transition into our live demo, I'd like to ask for your participation in a poll. And bear with me here. I'm going to go to our poll question. And the first one is going to be, what are the most important benefits you can see from PDM here, a PDM solution? You can see document control and security, collaboration across departments and different sites, automating workflow and approval. Go ahead and select the ones that, all of them that apply for you, and we'll give you a couple minutes to register your votes there before we close it up. Easy access is definitely in the front right now. All right, and we'll close the polls in just a few more seconds. All right, very good. So we can see the easy access was definitely the winner, but not too far off was document control and security. We're going to be hitting on a little bit of each of these today, but this is something that we see quite often is really just having easy access to the right documents is the biggest key. Everything else kind of falls in around that. So with that, let's go and return, and I'm going to start off diving into Adept. So first off, there are several different ways for you to be able to access your files in Adept. One of them is through a web client, Adept Explorer or Adept Reviewer. These are both web-based applications. Another method is right inside of the CAD application, in this case SOLIDWORKS, but this could also be inside of AutoCAD or Inventor as well. And then another method is through a desktop application, which you see right here. And all of these are using the same methods and tools to be able to search and locate your files. So by learning one of these, you're going to be familiar with all of them and be able to move in between the different ones. So today, we're going to start in this desktop area. Now, whether you are in design mode, searching for drawings or parts or assemblies, or out on a plant floor performing maintenance, or searching for manuals or as-built designs, whatever they might be, finding the right file and the right version is really critical. Now, there's a couple search methods in Adept. One method is using a search card. You guys have probably seen something similar to this before, but it works very simply. I type in one or multiple pieces of information. Maybe I know part of the title has fuel in it, and I'm going to have to spell fuel right for it to work correctly, and part of the job number. I hit enter, I get a list of all the files that meet that criteria that I have access to. So, for example, if I look at this document's data card, I can see that information was in both of those. Every customer of ours has a unique looking library or data card. This is just my example of one. I made this area look like a drawing title block, so people that were used to this arrangement of information would adopt it very quickly. These are extraction fields. They're linked to properties inside of, in this case, the SOLIDWORKS assembly, but they can also be linked to properties in Word documents or Excel spreadsheets. Think of change notices or work orders. Same thing goes for attributes in AutoCAD drawings and properties in other CAD file formats like Inventor and many others. Now, the arrangement of data here is my own choosing. I've got some fields and tabs for other document types. I've got a memo field where people can type in notes to each other, even see an image. There's a quick thumbnail of the file itself. Now, this card was designed for one group of users. It was laid out just for them. But you're going to have other groups that will want to look at things a little bit differently. Perhaps you've got some project managers. This is what they want to see. These are the fields that they want to search on to find that document. Some of these might have exactly the same information in it. Some of them might have tabs of information that only they're supposed to see and others aren't. So these can be configured by administrators for your different groups or different roles of users. Now, this data can also be used to locate the documents in other ways. I can do it through a quick search rather than opening up the search card. If I know part of the file name begins with 20, I hit enter. Here's, again, every file that I have access to that has 20 in the file name. If 90% of the time you go looking for files, you know the part number, or you know the job ID, or the part number, or job number, or whatever field you might want to use, you can use that. There's also in here full text search. Perhaps you're looking at a printout or a plot, and you see a certain word on that document, here's every file in the system that has the word initial somewhere in the document. Doesn't have to be a property. It has to be just text inside of the document. And that'll work on a lot of file types, but not all. For example, full text search will not work on photographs or bitmaps or JPEGs. Another tool to locate files is called the File Guide view. What this does is it sorts the documents on the data that's familiar to you. For example, here, I've got everything that I have access to, but it's organized by the product type first. I can click on that product type and see everything for that product type, or the next level in this example is who the designer was, and then a file extension. I've located the files in a way that means something to me. But another group may not understand things in that fashion. They might do things based on the job number first, and then after going to a job number, then they go to a product type and maybe a file extension. They're still finding the same documents. They're just sorting them in a way that means something to them. And when Adept helps customers, when Synergis helps customers roll Adept out, we'll ask different groups, what are the 2 or 3 general pieces of information you always know when you look for files? And based on their answer, that's going to make a great file guide view for them. These are just some examples that I have. Some people like to see files organized by what step of a what workflow process they're in, and then what step they're on in that workflow process. This is a great tool for project managers or group leaders to keep an eye on things moving through the process. Now, these different ways of sorting documents are configurable. There's also one called Library Browser that is the actual folder structure. For those users that in the past used to go to a J drive and then they went to a Vault folder and then a Designs folder and drilled their way down through subfolders and further subfolders to get to the files that they want, they can still do that. The same structure is right here as was on the server when you first pointed Adept at it and asked Adept to manage those files. What we find is most customers will fall back on this folder structure when they initially start using it, but very quickly like gravitating towards the file guide view to sort files based on information that they understand, or they like going by the actual, the quick searches, being able to just type in one piece of information. There's also the ability to save any of your searches or any lists as favorites. So very quickly, you can just go right to those files without even dealing with the folder structure. But regardless of what method you like to use, when you locate a file in Adept, you only find the latest version of that document, period. It's only when you have it selected down here in the document dashboard you can see there are older versions of that document. And some users won't have any access to these older versions. Others will be able to go back, copy an older version to create a new design. You know, maybe it's just like this one, but more like it used to be back on Rev D, and we want to get back to that one. So Adept will manage all of your older versions automatically for you. For some of our customers, they'll track a separate field of information called revision because they want to be able to bump up the revision when they want to be able to bump up the revision. But Adept also has a feature that can automatically bump up their A's to B's and their 2's to 3's, and they can do that as properties or attributes in the drawing files. Also down here, we're able to see all the relationship information. You may notice there's some different symbols next to these files. Those are dictating that there are parent and child relationships. Just by clicking on one, immediately I can see a listing of children. I can get a detailed listing of the children. All of these columns can be configured by each user. There's also the ability for you to set up column sets. Maybe you would like a group of people to see columns in this fashion. You can share that with them and they'll be able to turn on that same arrangement of columns of information. Also down here we can see where used. So that assembly is referenced as a subassembly inside of another assembly, top level, as well as a drawing and an older version of the drawing. So you're able to see both up and down the relationship tree. Also down here, we're keeping track of an audit trail, keeping track of everything that happens to the document, whether somebody views it or prints it or copies it, edits the data, checks it out, checks it in, approves it, rejects it. All that is tracked down here. There's also a thumbnail view down here that's keeping, I actually see a lot of people will leave that open as they're clicking on different files to get a quick peek at it. But that is just a quick peek. Integrated with every license of Adept is a visualization tool from Oracle, which enables all users to view hundreds and hundreds of file formats without requiring that specific software on their system. So users can go in and be able to look at an assembly file or a drawing file without needing that software. I can zoom in and out. I can turn parts on and off. There's also an integration with this viewer from Synergis that controls what users can do. For example, some users, the option to print for this job might be grayed out. You may want a certain group of people not to be able to print or plot. Same thing goes for converting to other file formats like PDF or a JPEG. You can give or take away that ability. Marking up documents, same thing here. I can go in and I can say I want to create a note right from this edge, and I'm just going to put in a small leader in here, and I'll say change cover. And you'll notice down below that it keeps track that Adam made that comment on a specific date and a specific time. If somebody else comes in and they add in their own comments or their own markup information, it'll keep track of each of those down below. So you can have a team of people marking this document up, and you'll know who made each comment. Another big benefit of this is that this file itself isn't being edited. There's no editing allowed from the viewer at all. So I can say, yes, I want to save this markup information, and Adept saves that as data about that version of that file, and that's the red markup or red line memo field right there. So when somebody views this particular version, they'll be able to see that markup information. Also, I forgot to mention these columns of information. Anytime you have a listing of files, you can pick and choose a subset or a whole group of them, and there's the ability to go and create reports. You can do quick portrait reports, landscape, formatted reports, and it'll use the data that you've got selected here. So very easy to go and create different file lists. Now, for some of our customers, this is the beginning of a change process. They found a file, and typically it would have been the drawing file. We're going to work with the assembly today. But they would then, after marking it up, right-click and maybe just assign it to somebody for them to do the work. So in this case, I can pick Adam, and if I've got it configured, that could send Adam an email. And in that email would have a link that would bring him right to the file that I assigned to him. If I had selected a 1,000-part assembly and assigned them to Adam, he would get one email with one link that brings him to a listing of all 1,000 files. But for some of our customers, they want a little more of a formal process besides marking it up and assigning it. They want users to be able to create new documents right from within inside of Adept, and you can do that. So right from here, I can say I want to create a change request. It's using a specific template. I've set up a naming convention where it requires some information, and I'm just going to type in a few key pieces of info, and this is building a file name. And Adept also assigned it a next available number as part of that file naming convention. Every customer of ours has a different naming convention. This is just one example of one. And in this case, I'm going to open it up inside of Excel, but this template could have also been a Word document. And Excel is giving me a hiccup here. There we go. So here I can see I've got different fields of information. And these are all properties. So if somebody types in any information, it will automatically fill in. I cheated a little bit. I created some of these other fields. I've got some where engineering review can put in their name and their signature and any notes that they may have. So all of this information is linked to Adept. So when I come back here, you're going to see in a second, there it goes, it just read that information. If I look at the data card, I created a special one just for this type of stuff. You can see that's exactly what I typed in. So that becomes very useful information that doesn't have to be typed in twice. In fact, some of our customers don't even open up the document. If you are given the right as a user, I can check this off, fill it all in here, and hit save, and that'll update the actual Excel spreadsheet. So you can push as well as pull if you have the rights to do so. And then for some of our customers, they want that change request to be related to, and now they build kind of a document package. They can use the file guide view if they want to sort the documents that way. They can locate, actually I didn't want that one, we want this one right here, this assembly and this drawing. I can also use other search methods and say there are some supporting documents. There's a JPEG, 2 images of the problem, and a master specification. So now the idea is very simple. Anytime somebody finds this change notice, right away they can see a listing of all the related children. They don't have to go to those separate folders to locate those files. Right from here they can view them or check them out or mark them up or print them, whatever they need to do. So you're creating your own packages. All right, so as a designer, I've gone in and I've located my documents. I know I'm getting the right one. We talked a little bit about this audit trail down here and everything that's happening to those documents for different regulations or audits that you have to go through. That's very useful information. Actually, I got to go back to one of these guys here. There we go. So if we look at the audit trail now, we can see this is all searchable and reportable information. So as a designer, I'm going to kind of switch hats here. Maybe I'm ready to do this actual design work. I can right-click and check it out from here, or I can go right to the CAD application. So in this example, I've got something called the Adept task pane inside of SOLIDWORKS. The exact same task pane is also located inside of AutoCAD and Inventor. The idea is very straightforward. If I need to perform a search, I can pick and choose whatever fields I want to use, so each user can pick the ones that they most commonly want to be able to search on. In this case, I know part of the job number, I can type that in. If I want to see, let me try that once again. That was weird. If I want to see the file guide views, I can use those, so I can sort based on the job number. I can locate the files in that fashion. So the same tools that we saw on the desktop, you can also have right here inside of, in this case, SOLIDWORKS. If I'm ready to work on something, I can open it read-only or check it out. I can also look to see if anybody else is currently editing any of the other files. And all actions with the task pane are drag and drop. Adept knows that I need to be able to see that entire design, and so it loaded up all those parts in the background for me. So I'm referencing them all locally. I don't have any editing rights for those. If I do need to edit one of these at any time, I can just right-click and I can check it out. Or I can even look at the Adept tree structure up at the top, and I can check those out from there. I can also use this same task pane to insert other parts. If I come over here, I can select a replacement for the one that I've got. Let's see here, we'll get a thumbnail view and take a peek at this one. That's the new one I want. Rather than insert, I can just go with a replace, drag and drop. And granted, they had to have the right mate locations for that to work smoothly, but all the action, the interaction is done with drag and drop. And again, that goes for Inventor as well as AutoCAD or AutoCAD-based applications. So I could also just very, very easily go and check out the drawing file for this right above it and have that update as well. For the sake of time, though, I think we're going to go back to the Adept desktop, And so while I was editing this file, everybody can see in bright red that Adam has it currently signed out. Doesn't matter what search method they use, there's only one method of locating that actual file. So everybody knows, and it copied that file and put it in my work area. So my work area is just my own local folder. And this can be configured by an administrator for users so they can decide where people's work areas are, or if they could be given the ability to create their own if they have a need for that method as well. So now that I'm done with this, I'm ready to check it back in. But before we get into workflow or what's going to happen to this file as it gets checked in, I want to mention a couple other items that I think are really important. One of those is bill of materials. Adept has the ability to go and create bill of materials from SOLIDWORKS using the Adept relationships, meaning using these relationships, it will create a bill of materials. For some of our customers, that's really important because they create records that represent parts that they don't actually design, and they create those relationships just like I did earlier with that change notice. I right-clicked and said add a relationship, so I could add a certain kind of packaging or a certain kind of grease or paint, but that would then be in that bill of materials. Or we can use extract it directly from SOLIDWORKS if it's a drawing file, if there's already a bill of materials chart on the drawing file. Or we can use the different configurations. With AutoCAD, with Inventor, you wouldn't have those two options. You would have the Adept relationships. And then you can choose what columns of information. If you do this regularly, though, you can actually save your configuration a certain way so it remembers what fields of information you like to see, what format you like to output it in, XML, text, or Excel spreadsheets. Also, how do you want these related? When this bill of materials is created, how do you want it related? I'd like them to be parents, and I'd like them to be fixed to that particular version, so a newer version of my design will not be related to this older version of the bill of materials. They'd be locked together. So all this enables somebody to go and create a bill of materials in different formats very, very quickly. Some of our customers have these not being saved to a work area as much as a folder that their ERP or MRP system is watching. Others have said they would like the bill of materials created in the work area, but they would also like that related to the change notice. So if I say I want to create a relationship, I can say also add in this bill of materials right here. So those are all now locked together. Another topic that was in our list was design reuse. This is another big item for those that create new designs based on existing designs. I can select any document or any top level. I'm going to go up a little bit higher here, and I'm going to select the SOLIDWORKS assembly one above this one, the 200. So if I decide I want to find all of the children for this, Adept will actually go and perform the search and locate all documents that have those children. This way I end up with a complete design set. I don't have to go and hunt for those different files, and I actually did that incorrectly. Let me try that one more time. Let's do this one right here. So search for children. There we go. And this will find any of the children of that also have their own drawings. And now I can make some choices. I can say, all right, I want a new one of these. I want a new one of these and new one of these. The rest of my design is still going to be pointing to these existing files. And then I select our copy command. Oops, I went right by it. Our copy command, and if you had a job number in those, you could replace that with an existing job number, with a new one rather, or add a prefix. I'm just going to add in my initials for right now. Because of Adept's ability to manage relationships between documents, specifically CAD file formats, you are able to rename or move files without breaking those relationships. and that's really important. As you can see here, it's already pointing to these two new files, but still pointing to my existing ones. So very powerful to recreate a new design based off of an old one very fast and fully intact as well. Now, let's say I'm done my design work. We have this file, we're ready to sign it as well as the change notice in. So when I check these files in, you'll notice first off it's saying two of these are new. They need a location to go. I can go and pick their folder location. I can also use different subfolders, but you'll notice this one right here, this design, it has a red check mark. All that means is that that particular folder, we've designed a workflow process that has to be adhered to. So very simply, the file will be brought into Adept, but it will be in a status of review. And part of that process can be to notify the first group of people. In this case, Martin, Janet, Adam, and Chris have all been notified that this file is in the design review workflow. It's on the CAD manager step of that workflow, and here's a link that will bring them right to the file so they can review it. That's an option in Adept. You'll also notice if we come back to the structure here, we can see it's in review, and if I click on Workflow tab, I can see exactly what step of the process it's in and what steps it still has to go through before it becomes approved. I can right-click and say, who's responsible for that, and it'll tell me who's in charge of those steps. Those users can also use this WIP version where they can select both versions of the file, view them both at the same time and compare them, and it'll highlight in color what's different between them. But for the sake of time, let's say that I came in and approved this document. I also set up a rule that it cannot be moved on to the next step unless they type in some kind of a comment. Just wanted to make sure they were paying attention to what they were doing. And now we can see down below here that Adam says it looks great on this date and this time, and now we're waiting for two folks in the project managers group to approve it, and then it'll become the new official version. So Adept enables you to create your own workflows. You can even assign the ability to some of your user community as workflow administrators. They can take care of their own processes. And this can be for any process, vacation request. If somebody comes into Adept and says file new, fills out a vacation request form, signs it into the HR vacation folder, it'll begin that process. Here's the design review process that we were just looking at, and it has 3 different steps. I can add and remove steps, rearrange their order if necessary. I can set up emails to go out on final approval. This may be non-Adept users, just people that need to know it's hit the end of that process. We also have alerts. Maybe as a group we've decided that this whole process really should not take more than 2 days, but if it does, we'd like a reoccurring email to go out every day to Chris Fabry until that gets addressed. So this way you don't end up with a process coming to a halt without somebody being notified. Now I'm going to open up one of these steps right here. You can assign a group to a step. You can also assign individuals or a mixture of both. The way I've got this step of the process right now, Bill and the CAD managers are all going to be notified by email when it's their turn to come in and review it. But I'm only requiring one of them to approve it. Perhaps I feel they're all equally qualified, so the sooner the better. As long as one of them can move it on, take it out of the inbox for the others. Or if I felt more comfortable, I could say, no, I would like at least 2 out of the 4, or all 4 in whatever order they want, but I need all 4 of them to approve it. If I need them to see it in a different order, I wouldn't add them into this step. I'd create a different step. And then there's a whole host of other options about what can or cannot happen in this step of the process. There can be alerts set up if this step takes too long. Do they have to make a comment to leave it? Can they reroute to other workflows? You can actually daisy chain or connect up workflows. There's the ability to skip steps, check out the files. If somebody rejects it, where does it always go back to? Many of our customers, when they first start using it, they use fewer options. Either these folks say yay or nay. It goes forward or it goes backwards. And then as people get accustomed to using the workflow, they roll out some of the more evolved or more complex abilities. Now, for our presentation here, we are going to come back out. We've already approved that document. So let's play this scenario a little bit further, and let's say that this has gone through the whole review process, and now we need to send this document outside of our organization, or perhaps we need to send a package down to our shop floor or our manufacturing location. It might not even be our four walls or even our company. Adept also has a built-in transmittal generator. Just like we saw earlier, if I want to create a new document, I can come in here, say I want to transmittal, I want to use a specific template, I can use a certain naming convention, just like I did before. For the sake of time, that's just going to create a new file, just like we see here, and this is the transmittal. All the editing for it is done through a dialog box. So you pick a company or a department and it fills in their information. It gives you a list of those people for that particular organization. So it's a very fast way of filling it in. Some fields might be just manual entry of information. Other fields might be you pick a certain value and that fills in several added fields. Just kind of a fast way of not retyping things over and over and over again. And then also, in addition to that, you can also create your own attachments. So I've already attached these files. It's just like we saw the relationship earlier. I can say I also want this related to this assembly, and now it's in my list. I can take files out, I can add them back in, and this will create a list. And so now when we take a peek at what this transmittal or work order is called, looks like, we'll be able to see that it's got a listing of the files, and it filled in all the fields of information for me. So the idea is to cut down on data entry and speed up the process of creating the transmittal, and also locking it together with specific versions of files. This too, if somebody checks us in, could begin a workflow process. For the sake of time, I'm just going to check it in as is, and then we can take a look at the results itself. So if I come back here and I put one in here, and it was that one right there, or that is one. So that transmittal, if I right-click and say I want to send this out, there's several options. First, what do you want for your title or subject? And do I want to just send the transmittal by itself? Maybe looking at this file size, I realize these files are a little too big, and I don't want to email all that. Or they're internal Adept users. So maybe this is a work order. Send them an Adept link. That will then bring them right to the files. Or, we're about to see this in a moment, send them a URL so they can use the web client to get the files. Or you can include all the documents. There's also an option to zip them up, put a password on it, and encrypt it if you wish. There's also an option to ask the Adept viewer that we saw earlier, open each of these files, save them as a PDF, and send the PDF in place of the actual design drawing file. Whatever you end up choosing, when you're all done, you send that off. Adept will then create the email. You can personalize the email and send it. One of the biggest benefits of all of this, though, is as time passes, somebody may say, you know, I got the wrong files at a certain time. Well, in Adept, very quickly, I can do a search on transmittals that were all sent to a different group or a different department or a specific person. I can search and locate all those right inside of Adept. And when I find them, I know who created them, who they were sent to, exactly when, and exactly what files were sent with them. So all of this information is searchable and reportable right inside of Adept. I don't have to have IT go searching through an Exchange server trying to find emails that were sent by Chris back in June of 2017. So much, much faster to be able to go and retrieve that information. Also, at the end of this approval process that we were just looking at, we talked about this going through a couple more steps, or one more step. At the end of that process, Adept's publish wave could publish PDFs of your updated designs automatically. This wouldn't be for the assemblies, it would be for the drawings, but those PDFs can be published to another location like an ERP, an MRP system, or Sharepoint. We've got a lot of customers that use Adept Publish Wave along with some other data exporting tools that are part of Adept to link up with other systems, other enterprise systems in their organization. All right, the last part I wanted to hit on is involving some security. So in this one location, this is where you would point Adept at your folders on your network. This is where you can point to it and say synchronize, and it'll read all the information about those files, the properties and attributes, the relationships, the thumbnails. And this is also where you can set up access rights. So for example, these folders all have these groups of people that have access to them, but these groups have no access to those folders at all. They don't even know they exist. Even if these people send links to these people, the link will just bring them to a message that says you do not have access. But if I decided that we have a certain client that we're working on this particular project, I want to add them in, I can then select them, and that will add them as an additional group. I can then also go in and, start, escape out of here, restart this up. I can also go in and say what level of access rights I want them to have. So for example, for this particular folder, that group was added in, or let's say it was sales, I can say I want them to view the files, but don't allow them to save copies or make prints. Just allow them to view it, mark it up, and assign it back to somebody else that would do the design work. So you can really dial in what users can or cannot do inside of folders, way beyond regular Windows folders or Active Directory rights. Although all of these users and these groups can be imported or even linked to Active Directory, not for the security access rights, but just to be able to create those as users. And if they're linked, and for some reason Chris Fabry wins the lottery tonight, his IT person can go in and delete him as an Active Directory user, which will automatically disable him as a user inside of Adept. And with that, let's now head back into here. And I want to hit on one other piece. That same window that we were in for security also is able to set up, you're able to set up replication, and that's part of Adept. So for example, you might have an Adept server with a hub vault and an Adept database. In some cases, those are all on the same server. Those could be speaking with different satellite vaults. The real benefit of having this, and this is again part of Adept, it's a configuration option, the real benefit of this is that when somebody performs a search, they're still only searching one single Adept database, one version of the truth. It's just that when they make a request for a document, it's coming from their local satellite vault, which is far faster than pulling it over the internet. This same vault replication can also be used, for different forms of fail-safe or redundancy, even setting full backup systems as well. All right, with that, let's get to, so really all the things that you've seen today, we actually missed one last item, and that is the web clients. Sorry, not that one. Let me try one more. Apparently I opened up two. There we go. So this is the Adept web client. So for a lot of users, when they log in, there's still the searches using full text search, searching using the library card, searching, this bar will search all fields of the library card. But there's also favorites and saved searches put right on the home page. These are great links that will bring somebody right to a group of files. So they don't even have to perform a search. That button is just for this user, Martin, for him to work with this job. Same thing as before. If we've got different assemblies or different files, I can go in, I can view those documents, I can print them out from here if I have the rights to. There's also the ability to download copies if given. There's also the ability to upload documents, also if given. So this viewer really enables a lot of users without any kind of CAD software or any kind of high-end system, really just a web explorer, to be able to go and view, search, print, markup. They got the same tools. If somebody else had these marked up, they'd be able to come in and add other comments, zoom in and out, all that kind of stuff. So very, very powerful. All right, so these are really able to give all of your users in very different teams of users very quick access to documents with nothing being installed on their system. All right. So all of these things that you've seen today really mean a lot of great things for our customers. Faster product or project delivery, more efficient operations, improved quality, lower cost, and reduced risk. And it's easy access to relevant data for better decision making. Those are all very, very important. Now we're going to do one last poll question. Let's see if I can pop this off okay. If you guys don't mind, the second one is more about where you are in your search. If you're just beginning to look and you're just at a curious stage, or if you've got something that's kind of an initiative and you're looking to do something within the next year, or maybe you're happy with what you've got, you just wanted to learn a little bit more about what others are using. Go ahead and add in those votes there. And we'll give that a few more seconds. All right. Well, we had a landslide winner on this one, it looks like. We've got happy with an existing solution, and perhaps I did not open that up long enough, so I might have skewed those. I apologize if I skewed those results. All right, let's get on to the last items here. So what are your next steps after this webinar? Well, if you're happy with your own system, then you may be done. But if you are ready to learn more about how Adept might address your unique requirements, first off, you can sign up now for a free consultation. We're just now going to push out a link in the chat window for you to sign up. If you don't see the link, please let us know in the chat window. And following your consultation, assuming there is a good fit, we can schedule a one-on-one to demonstrate how Adept can help your organization. Alternately, you can call the toll-free number that you see displayed above as well. There is PDFs available for download from the webinar window right now. And we highly recommend that you visit our Demo and Resource Center to view over 40 videos and 20 articles and white papers at synergissoftware.com. And don't forget to check out our blog, which has over 60 great articles that address trends and topics about the PDM industry. On behalf of the entire Synergis team, we sincerely appreciate your time and hope you found this valuable. As we transition to your questions, let me first say thank you to everyone who joined us on the call today. Please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know how we can be of service to you.